adventures in a great new show. It's an all-new Saturday morning. You see it in us, Everest. It's an all-new Saturday morning.
Hello and welcome to Classic Cartoon Rewind, a podcast where we provide audio commentary and watch-along tracks for cartoons published between 1940 to 1999 that are either based on or inspired by comic books. I'm your host, Carter Hutchison.
I'm Nat Yance.
Always welcome to say co-host too.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm your co-host, Nat Yance.
Yeah. Really, whoever's on the podcast with me that time, that's the co-host. You know,
awesome.
It's funny. Literally anyone that comes and guests on is always like, and I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. And like I just recorded one the other day with Chris Bush. We're doing a little mini Bond in the Comics podcast.
Cool.
And he had the same thing. But that's not what we're covering today. We're covering the first two-parter for Batman the Animated Series, which had to be a Two-Face episode.
Mm-hmm.
It is episode 10 and 11 of season 1 of Batman the Animated Series. So I also think it's interesting that the first episode with a 2-digit number is the first Two-Face number.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the creators were planning that.
It's almost like that Radiohead album where they had the whole binary digits, the 10. The whole thing between the back half? Yeah. Well, never mind.
Yeah. We'll
talk about it off mic.
There we go. Fair enough. Some guy out there is like, oh, yeah, it is just like that Radiohead album. So Two-Face two-parter. I've really been looking forward to this one. As we were kind of just saying before we got rolling, this to me is when the series really starts to kind of take it comes into its own. And while looking up a little bit of research for these two episodes, this is the part where the creators kind of mark as it hitting a more adult tone. And I think you definitely see that through these. Has it been a while since you've seen these episodes, or do you remember them well? The Two-Face two-parter?
Sort of like we talked about on the last one that I was on. I used to have all of these essentially just on repeat in my dorm room in college. Yeah. So technically, yes, it has been a long time since I've seen them.
Right.
But I watched them a long time ago, so damn many times.
Sure, you can basically.
It actually comes in bits and pieces and kind of flows together. Yeah. But as soon as I see it come back up, it kind of hits me.
Totally. This is one of the first ones I remember getting on VHS.
Nice.
That they would sell the two-parters together. Like there was a Robin one that was Robin's Reckoning. There was a Two-Face one, and I think there was like a Catwoman one as well. I remember the covers, with the blue one had Two-Face on it, the red one had Robin. But I think a lot more Batman media ends up taking from these episodes that we really kind of give it credit for on the surface, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through it. This is usually the point in the podcast where I would give current events that have been occurring around the time of the publication of this. This is still from September, and we have covered September and October in previous episodes. So go back and listen to those if you would like. So really, we're just going to have a quick message from our Patreon, and then we're going to jump right into it. All of Grassroots Comics is funded through our Patreon, patreon.com/grassrootscomics. For as little as $1 a month, you can become part of the Grassroots Comics community, which includes many perks, such as having your name mentioned in this segment of every episode of the podcast, the ability to suggest topics of discussion for shows like These Guys Have Issues, access to the private Grassroots Comics subreddit where members can continue discussions started on the podcasts or start their own, behind-the-scenes access to the GRC studio, and early access to digitally released comics and Classic Cartoon Rewind. So it is the goal of all of us here at Grassroots Comics Productions that one day the Patreon is strong enough where we are able to produce the stories, artwork, and stop-motion animation shorts pitched and selected by the Grassroots Comics community. But the only way that becomes possible is with a strong Patreon. So if you feel that the entertainment value you receive from this podcast is at least worth 25 cents, then please become a Patreon contributor today, and with our powers combined, we can have all of our stories heard. All right, now let's get on with the rest of the show. Okay, and we're back. Getting ready to cue up the Two-Face Part 1, Episode 10 of the original Batman animated series. All right, I have the WB logo on pause, and I am hitting play in 3, 2, 1, go.
On it.
Noise. So I'm in, several Batman-related groups, I guess, on Facebook, but I'm in the Batman the Animated Series one, and I saw it had a meme that was 4 pictures, and it was like the Batmobile lighting up here, it racing down, like the explosion of the bank maybe, and then like Batman like on the roof with the lightning bolt and everything, the lightning behind him. And it said, this is proof that you can hear pictures. And it's totally true that like just by seeing those images like strung together, one, it feels like you've watched the entire thing as well because your memory just fills it in.
Yeah, it just hits the beats.
Right, but 2, you can hear the theme music right behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
There's a word for that. I don't know if this is exactly what that is, but there's a word for where some sort of motion that you see without sound triggers an association sound, but I can't remember.
Sound.
Yeah, and it's some sort of synesthesia effect, I'm sure.
There we go. So I love that title card for one. It's very
excellent.
Right. It's classic. It's simple. All right, so we've got Harvey in a bad dream here, being taunted by Big Bad Harv. This is Harvey's multiple personality disorder, alternate persona.
Right, which wasn't really explored until at least post-Crisis, right?
Yeah, he was a gimmick villain. Saying a lot of Batman villains in the 50s, 60s, and 70s were all just kind of gimmick guys. Like he was Two-Face, so he had 2 faces, and he robs banks with a number 2 and stuff in them, and commits number 2 themed crimes.
I love it. It's so good. I love that stuff. It's so silly.
Oh, it is. It is. The same way like Mr. Freeze was just like a guy with a freeze gun.
Yeah.
Before this show as well. This show revolutionized Mr. Freeze for one.
Yeah.
But it does a lot of work with Two-Face as well. And I do like the small setup we have gotten so far in the series where we did actually get to see Harvey being a district attorney. And it's not just like, boom, you jump in and he's Two-Face.
Yeah. I think that was definitely to set up for people who had no idea who Harvey Dent was. And also, of course, playing to the people who did.
Well, the movies set it up. Billy D. Williams is Harvey Dent in Batman 89. Yeah. And it was always planned that he was going to eventually get Two-Face.
He's also Harvey Dent in the Lego Batman movie.
I was just about to say, he finally got to play Two-Face in the Lego Batman movie.
Beautiful.
One of the many perfect casting choices that movie made.
Yeah.
And here's just some classic Batman. Jeez, these guys have got some heavy artillery.
Yeah, Gotham's got a real militaristic criminal underground.
I'm sure it's Black Mass supplying all those. Well, no, I guess the Penguin is the arms dealer, right? That's what he usually falls into now. Nice. It would either be terrible being a cop in Gotham City or incredibly easy. Like each shift would go one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're either in it or you just stand back and watch.
Right, yeah. You either get back home to your wife and you're like, it was terrible. Mr. Freeze murdered like 3 of my coworkers. Or you get back home and it's like, Batman was there. Yeah. Swish, boom, bap, pow.
Yeah, I mean, we almost witnessed something heinous, and then it was still heinous, but in a better direction.
Right. The paperwork will be hell, but
yeah,
my back will feel better in the morning. Rupert Thorne, he's one of my favorite kind of mobster guys that really I'm only aware of through the show. And to me, if he came into comics, it would be afterwards.
See,
but
we got
he's a good, substitute for the Roman Falcone or something.
Yeah, Falcone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there,
You're
but
good.
we've got what we just saw was the little, punk ass kid kicking mud up on Harvey Dent's double-breasted suit, which of course it would be double-breasted, right?
Yeah.
So that of course
right.
is reminiscent of, or not reminiscent of, but telegraphing, I should say, the acid that was the original.
Interesting. Okay.
Cause for Two-Face.
Right.
And then you see that was the precursor to the bipolarity, if you will.
Right. Which, I mean, what it's a difficult subject to approach in a kid's show, right? Like multiple personality disorder. But the way they execute it, really, even a kid can understand. They show a dream sequence at the beginning, and then they actually show him talking to a psychiatrist and stuff coming up, and it really, kind of lays it all out there for a kid. Handsome Harvey. He's got to. At least half.
Yeah, but they drew him so weird.
Yeah,
you look at Bruce Wayne with his chiseled chin.
Right, he's not as square as everybody else. You're right. That's an odd choice. Why do that? No, but this series, like you were saying, really does help to add the pathos to Two-Face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any favorite Two-Face stories in just regular comics at all, or anything jump out to you?
Yeah, actually, when in A Serious House on Serious Earth, Arkham.
Oh, good call.
Right?
Yes.
Like, because he gets more and more choices each time. It's a coin, and then it's tarot cards.
Think
and
they're helping him.
Yeah.
Right.
Something there in between those. I can't remember what it is, but when he gets more and more choices, he essentially loses all control of himself or his ability to make decisions.
Yeah, to make any kind of decision, because there's too many options.
And then Batman gets back to him.
Right. I remember there's some line about that he can't decide whether to use the restroom or not, so he's in the corner pissing himself.
Oh my god. Do you know Grant Morrison's story about showing that comic book to Adam West?
Okay. I'm going to need to unpack that statement for a second.
Yeah, he showed the comic book to Adam West, and he's just like, "Yeah, I write Batman." It was at a convention.
Grant Morrison is talking to Adam West.
This is just after this book has come out, and Grant Morrison's not famous.
Okay.
And he says, "I wrote Batman. You're Batman." Just standing in line at the convention to get Adam West. And Adam West goes, and then signs it. And Grant Morrison's like, "He talked to me. He talked to me."
Good Lord. Okay, I thought it was going to be worse than that. Thought it was going to be Adam West actually looking in the pages of.
Oh, that'd be so horrible.
This is not anywhere. The Joker's in heels. What is this?
I don't know. He might be down with that.
Dadaism? What are you talking about?
Why does it look like panes of glass?
Right. Why is it all in nighttime? Batman's in the day. Duh.
I wonder what the decision was. I mean, obviously for highlighting effect, but I wonder what the discussion around the decision was for turning everything in the background red when he gets his anger issues, except for the Statue of Justice. I mean, I know exactly what they were going for, but talk about it beforehand. But it would be a fly on the wall.
That's fair. I mean, maybe that's for us more than it is for a kid or something.
Or it could definitely be for kids because
the color
literally highlighted.
Sure, right. The color. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's fair.
Also, everyone has huge fucking houses in Gotham City.
Yeah. Well, most people Bruce knows are
That's
well-to-do. The 1%.
Also, don't you think that as time goes on, real estate's got to be dirt cheap in Gotham?
Maybe in actual Gotham.
Yeah.
The Wayne Manor's in the Palisades, right? Isn't that what Harvey Dent says to Bruce in The Dark Knight? It's like, is Gotham Manor even technically in the city
I forgot about that,
city
actually.
limits? They're at dinner. It's Rachel Dawes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of women for Harvey Dent, so this is Grace Dent that we have in this. In the comics, his wife is Gilda Grace Dent. So interesting to me to kind of go away from that a little bit.
Yeah.
And to rename her, even though like why does it even really matter? You know, like there's only one story that I know of really where she has like a lot to do, and that's Long Halloween.
Right, of course.
Right.
Wait, you saw the flash of lightning there, where it showed his other face.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
First glimpse we get of it.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice foreshadowing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. I made my point, just that I'm, different character from Long Halloween's my most recognizable Two-Face story, I would say.
Yeah, I mean that's a classic.
Oh, all-time favorite Batman story.
Before Jeff Loeb figured out that he could just name a story
a color
and then just sell millions.
Jesus, yeah. I mean, too true. Even though I didn't hate Captain America White as much as a lot of people did.
Did you read Superman for All Seasons?
Yeah, that book's great.
Oh, so good.
Have you listened to our What's the Problem with Superman episode?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so we got in two people that claim to not like Superman as a character, but like comics in general. They're not like averse to the world, right? And we gave them Superman for All Seasons to read and
All-Star.
Red Sun.
Oh, okay. Thank God. I was going to be like, All-Star is actually not one of my favorites, and I love Grant Morrison.
I love it, but that is no one's entry point to Superman. Right. I feel like that's steeped in Superman lore. You're not going to enjoy it the same way that you would if you had the baggage.
Nobody knows what Jimmy's
need.
signal watch is.
Right. Yeah.
Gives
for
a
real.
shit about
You're
that,
right.
except for people who love Jimmy.
If you're just aware of Superman as a character, right?
Yeah.
But that's what's so accessible about For All Seasons is it's how other people view Superman every chapter. And then the Red Sun was there to kind of show like the fun you could have with the character and like kind of like what if stories. How it's just such a like it is so steeped in pop culture myth that like you can tell the story of Krypton exploding is like a bedtime story to a kid, and like it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that is one thing that All-Star Superman is great about is that first page where it's doomed planet, desperate scientist, kindly couple.
Yeah.
How Morrison condenses the entire Superman origin into 6 words.
Well, that's almost exactly how they did it in the first Superman issue.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, just get over it. That wasn't the point, right? Like he's Superman. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Like literally Superman #1, not action.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah,
fair.
That's pretty much how it goes, which is a great callback. So I think it's very interesting that, especially in this, say, compared to The Dark Knight, Harvey knows he's got problems.
Yes, that's true.
And he said just
he's trying to hide them for political reasons.
I don't know how to repress him anymore.
You know, man, that's even more interesting than what The Dark Knight does.
Oh, it's way better.
It's sure more interesting than what Batman Forever does.
Oh, yeah. Although I fucking love Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, really? I hate it.
No, I mean, I understand
like him as an
shallow
actor.
Portrayal of the character. Don't get me wrong.
They're in the wrong movie.
There is just, there is just such a verve to him that I really like.
Yeah. They were still playing it like the Adam West show, and we're a celebrity that's guest starring as a villain. We're Eartha Kitt coming in and getting to ham up being Catwoman.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey just wanted to play the Joker, and no one told him to not do that.
Yeah.
But then again, of course, you cast Jim Carrey, so like that's what you're going to get is Jim Carrey. What a waste of, I don't know. Because really, I think that's the biggest problem with Batman Forever is the villains. Val Kilmer is an effective Batman, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's fine.
Nicole Kidman, oozes sexuality in that movie. Right. Just, good Lord. Mm. What were we talking about?
I
I'm
think
not
Two-Face things,
Yeah. All right. Right.
but I'm not entirely certain
Right.
anymore.
Um,
I got
and
distracted.
and Chris O'Donnell is there.
It's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. The origin part, the part where with his parents dying, I thought that scene is
Oh, it's
effective.
very well handled.
Yeah, and some of the angry teenage stuff where he like trapezes off the chandelier into the
Yeah,
into the
onto
back
one of
cave.
the mini motorcycles.
Yeah, you know, he took the car, sir. The Bentley.
Which car?
The other car.
The other car.
The Royce.
Yeah.
The other car.
You know, that guy was one of the first, really not iconic, but even within Doctor Who, one of the first cult villains. The guy who played Alfred in
Really,
those
Michael
movies.
Gall?
Yeah,
Isn't that his
yeah, he
name?
played the Celestial Toy Maker.
Oh, cool. Okay. Is
That
this
episode
like
doesn't exist anymore.
early Doctor Strange?
Doctor Who,
Pre-David
yeah.
Tennant? Oh, excuse me, yeah, Doctor Who. Sorry.
No, I mean like the 60s.
Right, okay, it's like
Yeah.
original. All right.
Yeah, like black and white got wiped because they didn't have literally any room in the warehouse anymore for the film.
We don't
Destroyed.
need this crap.
Right?
Who watches this?
God, I love seeing that pull-out antenna.
Oh, that didn't even catch to me. Like,
Because that was
registered
such
to me
like
how
when,
dated
if you and I had walkie-talkies back in the day, or like a handheld like cordless phone on the
Yeah.
wall, that's what you did.
Totally.
And so like it still doesn't hit us as strange.
Right. Even in this like quasi like past and future
Yeah.
blended together world.
So I know that we don't live in a much different world than we did back, 20 years ago when this came out, but it feels like this feels a little bit dated right here, where he's being blackmailed with a psychiatric file. And I know that in this particular case, it's a psychiatric file about anger issues. And with a
Right.
district attorney, you don't really want that.
Right.
But you'd like to think that in today's world, he and a competent press officer could spin this in a way like, look, this happened. I'm being treated for it. I'm
Right.
in therapy because I am working, like when I work at it, I am a well-rounded person.
Right.
And I do that for you to serve you as a community. Something like that.
Sure, but that candidate also has to have the like want to do that and to like expose himself not that way, but to the
Yeah.
public in, a more open manner. Harvey strikes me as the
The
kind of guy
detail of
clearly
the
that
face.
wants to keep that hidden from his public persona.
Of course, I'm just saying that you'd like to think that maybe these days somebody would be given more of an opportunity to be more open about it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it went either way.
right.
I'd like to think that we're more civilized. I know we're not.
Oh,
Oof.
yeah.
Oof.
The way that voice actor dips
Oh,
his voice when he goes into Two-Face is
It's like Bud Collyer doing Clark Kent and Superman. It's like
There
two
we
different
go.
people. It's insane.
this looks like a job for Superman.
Right?
Right? I mean, it's close to what Kevin Conroy is doing with his, Batman Bruce Wayne thing,
Yeah.
but it's even more like just guttural and
Yeah. It's something else. The guy's
it's good.
incredible.
It oozes. If it was
It oozes.
in a text and comic, it would be the kind of text that looks like it's dripping in like the horror comics.
Yeah.
The
Or possibly the red
pornography.
outline.
Yep. Which apparently Big Bad Harv has more strength than your average Harvey.
Yeah, right. Well, he's got less inhibition.
That looks like straight out of the 60s show.
Yeah.
A fight happening, the one girl in the room leaning against the corner, watching like a tennis match back and forth,
Right.
and then just wild.
So good.
That's swinging, baby.
Uh-oh. Some sort of acid vat. That's
Yep.
probably fine.
Never. If you're Batman, you should just stay out of those. It's like, sure, whatever crime is going to happen, it's probably going to, be terrible. But if I go into this factory with an acid vat, I'm going to get a whole new villain.
Yeah, like
So let's just not do that.
guys, I
Again,
didn't sign up for this. I can't go
right?
into this acid factory. This wasn't in the contract. I didn't want to get superpowers and or some sort of horrible psychosis.
Mm. Right.
I'm sorry, you're just not paying me enough. I didn't
So
get
yeah,
into
this
gooning
might
for this.
to gooning. That's a good idea. That's something Mike and I would talk about as a comedy show called Henchmen.
Well, have you ever
It just
seen
follows
Venture Brothers?
I've seen parts of Venture Brothers.
Yeah, there's a whole sub story about henching.
Oh wow, yeah. So just
it's
a series
very,
based on that, right?
yeah.
You know.
How prescient.
So I think you're right. This is kind of the first time that you see that there was something wrong with Harvey before the accident. Like it wasn't just the accident that turns him into this monster.
Yeah.
There was something
and they were pretty explicit about it.
That like oil looking painting right there is
so
Max
good,
Fleischer level animation. And this scene is very reminiscent of in Batman. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Batman 89 when the Joker first sees his new face. Though Two-Face doesn't think it's quite as funny.
No.
This scene always terrified me as a kid. Right. Wait for it.
Yep.
There. Ah!
Oh, God.
Poor Grace. Poor Grace.
I still think the scariest episode, or I think maybe two-parter of the animated series, is the origin of Clayface.
That one's good.
I mean,
to
see them,
that's not
the shadows.
too far off for us to cover either. It's not too far down the road.
Yeah, I
There's
would love
another
to be part of that
two-parter in
one.
between. There's the Cat and Claw conspiracy is in between.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's an excellent first episode for a villain.
Totally.
Especially given that we already, if you've been watching the series up to this point, have at least a modicum of emotional connection.
Right. True. It's not just like
know who he
here's
is.
Bruce Wayne's best friend, and then boom, Bruce Wayne's best friend becomes a bad guy.
Yeah.
So, before we jump into the second one, is there a two-parter episode that you would say is your favorite of the two-parters? Do I need to do you want me to kind of start listing some of them here? There's the Robin one. There's a couple Catwoman ones. There's at least a Cat in the Claw.
I'm
There's
looking
the
at
Ra's
it
al
now.
Ghul one.
Now was we talked about this on the last one that I was on. The one with Koga, was that his name?
The samurai ones. No, those weren't technically two. But there was a Day of the Samurai and there was a Night of the Samurai, but it wasn't Samurai Part 1.
Right.
Actual continuation.
Yeah, no, I like that pair of episodes.
Those are more like sister episodes, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good way to put it. No, I don't think I have a favorite.
Yeah.
Two-parter.
I love the Demon's Head, the Ra's al Ghul one. Really like that one. Robin gets captured. Batman has to figure out who's doing it. It leads to that classic Denny O'Neil scene of Batman shirtless with a sword in the desert fighting Ra's al Ghul. It's great.
Now, Ra's al Ghul in the show, he's played by David Warner.
Who is David Warner?
Where
David
are we talking
Warner,
you'd absolutely recognize his voice. He's he's the old bad guy in the Titanic movie. He's not Billy Zane in the Titanic movie. Or maybe he's the captain. I can't remember exactly who he is. He's just in every British production of anything ever.
Oh, wait. No, I think I know if it's the guy I'm talking about. He's like a silver fox, right? Yeah.
He's
Oh
just
no,
kind of
wait,
old.
no, no,
I don't
that's
think
not
he's
what I'm
always just
thinking
been
of.
old. I think
Yeah,
he's literally always just been old.
he's just
But did
old.
you watch Freakazoid?
Yeah, I did. I did
He
watch
was the
Freakazoid.
Loeb in Freakazoid.
Okay.
But like
Um.
he's one of those ones that when you hear his voice, it's so
Mhm.
distinct, and then you think back, even out of context of thinking about David Warner, and you think back to a line that you've heard some character say, and you're like, "Holy shit, that was David
It's
Warner."
David fucking Warner.
Like I literally, like a couple months ago, I was in bed, like woke up in the morning with my girlfriend, and I said, "Oh my god," and she said, "What?" And I said, "The Loeb was David Warner."
Oh my god.
She's like, "I have no." Were those words?
She's like, why do I date you?
I was like, "No, no, no. I understand. You don't have to worry about it."
Oh, that's great. I want that scene to just be, yeah, just verbatim.
It's so good. But yeah, no, you'd recognize his voice if you heard it.
Yeah.
He's a famous voice actor and also regular actor.
Well, Ra's al Ghul. I mean, I can hear it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just that two-part is excellent. All right, are you ready for the second one? You got it ready to go?
Yep, it's pulling
Okay.
up at just a second.
Okay.
Yes, I'm 1 second in.
You're good. All right. Okay, I'm hitting play on Two-Face Part 2 in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Yep, double dosing of the old theme music here.
It's worth it. It's so
It
good.
really is. It is. The version you're watching, is that the HD or is it the regular?
Oh, it's regular.
Okay. Have you seen the HD yet?
No.
Where they kind of clean up some of the animation cells?
Oh.
The thing
Oh
I
my.
noticed the most is in the intro here, you know when the two goons are on the rooftop and Batman drops down and then you get the close up on his face?
Hmm.
It sounds about right there.
Yeah.
As a kid, I always noticed there was like a spot. It looked as a kid looked like a mole to me, but I'm sure now knowing about like animation cells, it was like dust or something probably,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it was on the chin, and I always noticed it, but they cleaned it up and took it out of the HD one. So that's my like marker on how to be able to tell which one is which.
Nice.
Do I see the speck of dust on Batman's chin?
That's a deep dive right there.
Right. Previously on Batman, you gotta love that.
Yeah, it's
That just screams Saturday morning, like sitting on the
Batman
floor.
will be right back.
Right. After these messages. Yeah, bumpers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Are bumpers even a thing anymore? Like, I don't.
No, I don't watch network television, so I couldn't tell
Yeah,
you.
and my kids don't watch the shows that they watch. It aren't on. We're streaming it.
Yeah.
Pretty much always.
Do you have cable?
No, we cut the cord years ago. We do
Yeah.
Hulu Live, and it is phenomenal.
Oh, cool.
I love it. I will just blow Hulu Live on the air if I ever get a chance.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
totally worth it. $40 a month, and it's all the channels you would actually watch on cable. And
That's awesome.
being a sports guy, it actually keeps you in there.
Look at those pimply nerds.
Now, I will say, and this is the last thing about streaming stuff, that Disney deal they're putting out with Disney Plus,
Yeah.
Hulu, and ESPN for like $12.99 a month. Yeah, I'm doing that.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing that as soon as that happens. I'll still keep Netflix, but I'll probably drop my regular Hulu Live.
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
Oh my god.
Of course, henchmen for Two-Face have to be twins.
That's
Right.
so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what kind of interview process do you think you do to weed
Are you
out anybody
twins?
who's not twins?
Yeah, you're hired. But everyone else is just like dressed the same in the audition room. Are
One
you
person's
twins?
dyed
Well,
their hair to look like the others. Yeah, no, we're totally twins. Get out of my sight.
We're siblings, his mother used to
We're
watch
fraternal
my-
twins.
Right.
Fuck up.
Right.
Hit the road.
Flip the coin, see if they live or die. All right, so there's some foreshadowing with that giant crate of quarters there, or
Mhm.
silver dollars, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a very annoying aspect to being a Two-Face goon, is having to wait for him to make his decision from the coin, and then also having to leave behind good loot.
I assume
With
if they're
their-
like not paid on commission, if they're salaried or hourly, they wouldn't necessarily have to worry about that. They just do what they're told. But
Right.
if they're commissioned based on the cut of the haul,
Right.
I'd be totally pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no job security.
Right. How am I supposed to get healthcare with this? Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you did. Um, so, at least according to the comics, between this, Batman Forever, and Dark Knight, which would you say has the closest comic book origin? And I think I have a surprising answer.
I think it's going to be Batman Forever.
I think so too,
Does the
because he's
courtroom
actually in the court,
acid
right?
splash scene.
The acid gets thrown on him right there, and that's basically it. Like it's a simple origin.
Yeah.
The other ones kind of make it more complicated, or especially Dark Knight. It's a very exact situation that leads to him getting that kind of facial scar.
Yeah.
This is good too.
This is horrible. I mean, it's a good thing. It's good. Well, it's like well produced, but Jesus, it's rough to watch.
As in the animation, or just like so on.
No, I mean it's hard to think of the struggle, the suffering this guy's going through.
Right. Okay. Good. Glad we're on the same page there. Yeah. Yeah. All of Bruce's failings in one dream.
Right. So we've got Two-Face's dream in the first episode, and we've got Bruce's dream in the second.
Very nice relation there, bringing those together.
I mean, this cartoon is something else.
Right. I guess Batman just sleeps in his robe in the chair of the Bat computer regularly.
Look at all that
multiple personality stuff.
Yeah, all that research he's doing.
Mm. That's interesting to kind of paint Two-Face as, just as big a failure for that Bruce sees, at least that he's committed, as say like a Jason Todd or something.
Well, I mean, given this origin story of him, it
right, and in most
yeah.
versions they're friends or at least acquaintances. And again, in most versions, Harvey Dent, Gordon, and Batman are kind of like Gotham's Trinity for a while, as far as like taking down the organized crime aspect of Gotham. Now, when your freaks and stuff start to get more control of Gotham, that's when. And you know what? Harvey transitioning from Harvey to Two-Face might be the clear like line in the sand as far as when the mobster era of Gotham ends and the freak villain era of Gotham begins.
Yeah, I can see that. It sort of is tangential, or at least parallel to the Dark Knight's take on how Harvey Dent is Gotham's soul.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it follows the same trajectory, although I'm not entirely certain the two overlap.
Tragic villains. Batman really does have the best tragic villains.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can sympathize with almost all of them, which I guarantee is what that Joker movie is going to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I've heard literally anything good about it at all.
Really? I have only heard good things about it.
No, I mean, I have only heard good things about it.
And that surprises you.
I just wasn't expecting that. Yeah.
No, I agree. And what I kept saying for it is that for a movie that shouldn't exist, it looks really good.
Nah, it's a pretty good way to put it.
Right. I still kind of feel that way, but I also... And this has nothing to do with the actual quality of the movie, but it feels like an awkward time for a movie like this to come out.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure we're gonna get like, look how this woman was mean to, this pre-Joker here, and that, eventually causes him to become the mass murdering psychopath that he is. And
Yeah, it's
look at
just
how mean that authority Batman figure was to him.
it's just male privilege and
He's an incel.
fascist propaganda all
He's
over
an
again.
incel that
Absolutely.
paints himself up, and
He's a school shooter,
yeah, exactly.
but with a
And-
smile.
It's going to be rough, and it's going to hit close to home, and it's either going to intend to and lean into that,
Or be totally tone deaf.
or feel ill-timed. Exactly. Hopefully, it's the first, but
Yeah. I just noticed the Gemini Jewelers,
yeah.
of course.
Also interesting that Thorne would have all these different business fronts that had something to do with the number 2.
Yeah. How convenient.
It is. This seems like something that, those odd cases where Two-Face kind of like breaks the mold for what he usually does, goes something different.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like something you would do with that, but you obviously can't do that in the first time you're seeing him.
Right, of course.
Yeah, you have to make the mold before you can break it.
Absolutely. I totally had the toy of that motorcycle.
Me too. And
It did not turn well because of the stupid stripes, stupid
but man, it looked
piping, if you will, on the front wheel.
Man, it looked good.
Oh my god, it was so cool. And of course, mine could climb walls.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my head canon.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Double
if the
take.
Batmobile and if the Batmobile and Batman Forever can climb walls, then why not the Bat Cycle? That makes even kind of more sense that a cycle would be able to do it.
That's lighter.
Right.
That's very like
Max Fleischer.
yeah, exactly, but also like Hanna-Barbera kind of thing, how they were the first one to separate background from motion.
Right.
To save budget.
Just animate the eyes, keep everything else still.
Right.
But that's fine.
No, it's fine. I thought it was gorgeous.
Sure, the artwork is incredible. The
the way he just took that dude down by squeezing his fist.
I'm pretty sure he broke his hand.
Oh, absolutely, but like the optics are hilarious.
Ouchie.
Yeah. Oof, that guy's got a hell of a handshake. Oy.
You do not want to pick a fight with this guy. No.
That's so good. Have him turn away.
Okay.
I mean, it's so simple, but it's so effective.
Right. And
I didn't realize that Jimmy Olsen was a goon in Gotham.
That Jimmy Olsen is a twin.
Yeah, right.
And
Jimmy and Timmy Olsen.
Jimmy and Timmy, that's 2 Silver Agey for life. Oh my God. Or maybe Johnny. Jimmy and Johnny Olsen.
And Johnny.
Right.
Jimmy and Jamie.
Yeah.
But they're both James.
The Silver Age. Have you been reading that book at all? The Jimmy Olsen, Superman's Best Pal?
I didn't realize it was out yet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I read the first issue of Lois Lane, and I loved it.
Okay.
But I haven't gone back to it yet.
Right. I've been saying for years that she needed a book to herself. She's an interesting enough character too. Well, I mean, I think she's more than that already.
No, I mean that was what her book was called.
Oh, right. Yes. Just a Lois Lane, just a hard-hitting reporter.
Yeah, Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, which ran concurrently with Superman's pal.
Right, but the Jimmy Olsen one was so much more fun. And
it also had
the Lois Lane one was always like her trying to trick Superman into marrying her.
Yeah, I know, it's horrible.
Right.
Don't read it.
Right. Don't do it.
Although there were some redeeming moments in it. Not that I ever read, but reading Grant Morrison's Super God Seed, he talked about some moments that he thought pretty decent. God, I love that telephone.
Yeah.
It's so
Rotary
classic.
there.
Yeah.
Poor Grace. I
Oh,
really do just feel bad for her. Not knowing that she's, leading the Rupert Thorne's gang directly to him.
yeah.
Tough
Trying to
choice.
think, like, wow, I didn't know her name was actually Patsy, but that's just what a cheap joke.
Oh, that's a pretty good one, though. That's a pretty good one.
I guarantee you, one of those henchmen's name is Moose.
It's the guy with the hair.
Yeah, it's a guy with hair.
Right.
Moose.
Yeah, the one that looks like Steve from Stranger Things. Wild Deuce. All right.
It's just relentless. It's the number 2. It's just relentless.
Telling you, man, that Gotham City planner really needs to step up his game.
Right. As long as there's not like plant-based twin clown act.
Right. Clown, card, humor, birds.
We only perform in freeze.
Ice. Right. This is always a great visual too. If just Two-Face has divided an entire room. One half of the room is scarred and the other is pristine. Again, it's all right on the nose, but it works.
Kind of weird that he's not wearing a glove. Like
Over
he went
his
for the mask
scarred
over
hand?
the glove.
Yeah, so she can clearly see, like, dude, you got something going on there.
Maybe
Pretty
that's-
sure your hand shouldn't be blue. Maybe it's
that's
what?
his way of easing her into it.
Yeah. Could be a little too Michael Jackson-y too if you
True.
give him one glove. Going to a casino with Two-Face. That wouldn't be very fun.
No.
So what, he's a nihilist now? Is that pretty
I
much?
think so, yeah.
Right.
Or a fatalist at least.
Right.
I think it's an excellent visual when she pulls his scarred hand to her face.
Oh, that's true. Right. That she's literally accepting even the worst parts of him.
Absolutely. God, his tongue must get so dry.
Just perpetual dry mouth.
Right?
Yeah, that's never good.
Oh, Jesus.
Moose. Get out of here. Two-Face, of course. Of course. Boy. That's a dirty trick. She's just sweet.
Was that Tress Neal doing that voice?
I would have
in
to look it
red?
up. Lady in red. No clue.
Did you ever hear the original, like, Xavier Cugat version of that song?
Absolutely not.
Oh, dude, it's so much faster than that. It's da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's weird.
It's
That song
very
just makes
jarring.
me think of American Psycho.
Oh, see, it makes me think of Mitchell and Webb.
Okay. Boy, that rain illustration is excellent. You think again that's something over the actual animation
certainly
cells?
looks like,
Right. Some kind of
but
layer.
I don't know what technique that would have been because I don't know enough about it from the era.
Whatever it is, it looks good. It's very effective. Maybe you should just make her match.
That was a very interesting jump in sound level when between the first letter go and the second letter go. It was much quieter the first time, and I know he's off camera, but he was still right there.
Right. You're such a sound guy.
I can't help it.
Right, I know. Well, you don't see Two-Face scared too often.
No, you don't.
You know, like backing up like that. All right, so now we get a Batman and Two-Face get to fight together.
Yeah.
Now,
However,
wasn't
briefly.
there an era where people wasn't it like maybe during New 52 when Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all disappeared? Do you remember what I'm talking about? They went away for a year, and all of DC jumped ahead 1 year later.
Yes.
Wasn't there some storyline where Harvey Dent was operating as Batman for a while, or at least as a vigilante in Gotham?
I don't remember that actually, but it sounds
I
fascinating.
think he goes right. There's some stories where he goes back and forth because he obviously still has a side of good to him.
Yeah.
And sometimes that side of good has to win. Now that would be interesting, is if through a flip of a coin, if he was going to be a villain or a hero for a night.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Right.
Uh-oh. Here it comes. The iconic Tommy gun that he's got.
Love it.
Nice.
Chance.
So iconic. That's the only word for it.
And
Yep.
Coins. And you're done for. Wouldn't you know his trick? Two-Face might be the easiest villain to defeat.
You've heard there's a sketch where Superman was taking over his duties in Gotham for a bit. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go fight Two-Face now." He's robbing a bank and he comes back. "Well, that was easy. What's his power?" "Oh, he doesn't have any powers." "Wait. He's just a burn victim with a gun?"
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, nailed it. Which Batman Forever would copy that way to defeat Two-Face at the end by throwing a bunch of different
I remember the shower of quarters, or shower of silver dollars.
And Tommy Jones, no. What a shame, because he could have been great.
I know. Yeah, he's so bombastic.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, he's too over the top. Now, I will say I would have rather seen, I think it would have been best for everybody if it would have been Billy D. Williams. And then you actually get that continuity between the first and the third ones.
Do you think it's a little bit ironic that the coin, the quarter that he flips and considers himself consigned to, is scribed with liberty on either side?
Oh, that's fair. But he is not free, though.
Exactly.
Right? He's beholden to the coin.
It's true irony.
Yeah, that's fair. But like any lawyer, he's tied to that money, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Really digging deep.
There you go. Those were good. Those were really, really good.
I mean, it's funny. I was just gonna say at first that just then I was gonna say that I know it's easy subject matter to tackle with this, this binary state of a human, and particularly this villain. But then I realized it's not an easy.
I don't think so. For a 20-minute.
Well, I was gonna say it's only easy because this has cemented it in our consciousness.
Okay.
This is what made it easy for anything that follows.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure for many, kids in the early to mid 90s, this was the first glimpse of what a mental disease or mental disorder looked like. Yeah. That's interesting.
While it's a bit ham-fisted, it's...
Yes, it kind of has to be. Let's be honest. It's a show about a guy who dresses like a bat and jumps off rooftops. he's not subtle. His villains really aren't either. Yeah. Do you know who
No.
John Delaney is? You know what I'm talking about? He was running. He was one of the nondescript white guys running for the Democratic nominee.
No, I didn't start paying attention during that circus
Oh.
until very recently.
Sure. Google him and tell me he doesn't look like Scarface in the Puppeteer, the villain, the Batman villain.
Oh my God!
Like, can't you just see his chin coming down like?
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah. He looks like someone has his
Yeah,
has their
just
hand
draw
up his
two
ass
straight
and is
lines on
controlling
him.
his right. It's control. Just 2 straight lines down his like the corner of his mouth down to his chin, and yeah, he's a dummy at that point.
Yeah.
He was on Bill Maher this past week, and as I was watching that, I was just like, he looks straight like a Batman villain.
Or like Toy Man.
Right. Oh, that's it. Toy Man from the Superman animated series.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
I'm here to make sure you have fun.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Now, while we're on that same subject, there's a meme that's been going around lately that is Cam Newton in different of his crazy outfits that he'll wear in press conferences.
Right.
But it is those assigned to Batman villains. And like there's one where he's the Scarecrow and like Mad Hatter and Poison Ivy. And they're pretty spot on, I'm not gonna lie. And they're little to no doctoring to the pictures.
I love it.
I'll try to put them up on the Grassroots Comics Facebook page here, and we'll get that conversation going.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that's Matt, that's all I got for the Two-Face two-part. Do you have anything else to add to that before we preview next week?
No, let's get into it.
Okay. So next week is going to be a mixed bag. All right. We are not the next episode, but the episode after that is the next two-parter, the Cat and the Claw Conspiracy. The problem is we have 3 episodes in between again, so we're going to have to do an episode where we do a 3-parter. Now, what I mean by that it's a mixed bag is
I know what you mean by it's a mixed bag. I know exactly what you mean.
Episode of Classic Cartoon Rewind, we're going to be covering episode 12, 13, and 14. 12 is It's Never Too Late. 13 is I've Got Batman in My Basement. And 14 is Heart of Ice. Now, one of these is arguably the best episode of the series.
Yeah, it's I've Got Batman in My Basement.
Right. And one of these is unanimously, no arguing about it. It's a fact that it is the worst episode of the series, and that's Batman in My Basement.
I don't hate that.
God damn that episode.
I don't hate that episode.
Tune in next week for 20 minutes of Carter bitching about I've Got Batman in My Basement.
I will be an I've Got Batman in My Basement apologist.
That's fine.
It's
Only
been
to be followed by
nearly
24
10 years
minutes
since
of
I've
me
seen it,
blowing Heart of
so I intend to fully double down.
Okay. Well, all right. The line has been drawn in the sand. We got to get you back for that one then. We'll have to hash it out over I've Got Batman in My Basement. I'm not looking forward to it. But at least we get to end it with Heart of Ice. So there's at least one great episode in there. And
oh my God.
I believe Never Too Late is pretty good too. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I honestly don't even remember which one.
Yeah, there's some of those that kind of sound like nondescript Bond titles, like Die Another,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The Brosnan ones try to run together to me.
Yeah. Or
right.
the Late Moore.
Yeah. Yes. But this new one, the No Time to Die, sounds like like they put some Bond titles in like a blender and like
an AI
libbed. Yeah. Or predictive text. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
exactly.
predictive texted a Bond title. Great.
It's not. Cool. It's not particularly memorable.
Right. Have I mentioned I'm ready for the Craig era to be over?
Yeah, I think you have.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Well, that's all this week for Classic Cartoon Rewind. Again, be sure to join us next week it should definitely at least be an interesting show to hear the back and forth over the 2 of the 3 episodes we're covering next week. So that's all from us at Classic Cartoon Rewind. I've been your host, Carter Hutchison.
And I've been your co-host, Matt Yance.
There we go. And we'll see you next week, kiddos.
Bye.
I've got Batman in my basement, a politics. That's...
Listen.
This has been a Grassroots Comics production. Da da da! So what's your story?
What some kind of silly cartoon?
You got a problem with cartoons?